It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure and honor to be here today. And in the presence of Ratnaprabha ma'am, whom I admire a lot. She has been an inspiration for all of us. And she has been a legend in civil services. I had this good fortune of working very closely with ma'am in the past couple of years. And it is ma'am's word that brought me towards KLAMS. Or else, like, it is not something I could schedule in my work day, but ma'am's words, and I just want to see ma'am's address. That's why I could, make it. And she has been an inspiration for everyone. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, I don't think I'll be of much value addition, because I myself is an employee. And when we think about entrepreneurship versus employees, the choice is always very clear. The choice of being an entrepreneur is a very tough choice. Whereas I decided to be an employee and I'm working for government. Being an entrepreneur, it needs a lot of courage, a lot of inner strength, and numerous skills to survive in this cutthroat environment. And being a woman entrepreneur in this kind of patriarchal society is one of the toughest choices a person can make. It brings one very fond memory from my student days. It's a quote by Professor Dumbledore. If any one of you have seen Harry Potter anytime, you're familiar with Professor Dumbledore. He's one of my favorite professors. He says one thing: it's not your abilities that show you who you are, it's your choices. So when I look at female entrepreneurs of this region, which is considered to be one of the very underdeveloped and very challenging environment for women in any field, be it administration or academics or entrepreneurship, the choice itself, that shows the inner strength that women in this group have. And I salute each and every one of you for being the beacons of hope for all the women in this region. When we talk about entrepreneurship or the mere survival in today's challenging economy, it needs a lot of skills, not just opportunities. It needs a lot of skills. And when we talk about women in our society, or in fact even in developed societies, if you think, the access that women have to resources and opportunities are limited. You cannot compare them with the access to opportunities and resources that men have in any kind of society. Even if you look at America or Western Europe, less than 15% of the businesses are owned by women. In this regard, I'll have to appreciate the sub-Saharan Africa, because it has highest number of women entrepreneurs in their economy. But it also speaks about one of the key characteristic features of women entrepreneurship is women are opting business many times as a last resort, or maybe a secondary choice. If may not be the last one, it is a secondary choice for many. There are some exceptional and beautiful women out there, but for many of us, it is a second choice. And most of the women, they come into the entrepreneurship maybe somewhere around the age group of some 40 to 60, because that's when, like, all said and done, the domestic responsibilities, even today, are mostly on women. So it takes up to 40 years of age for a woman to come out of those shackles set by the society, or set by mostly herself too. And this is the time when they come out and try their hand at entrepreneurship. And it poses its own challenges because it needs a lot of skills. And as the principal sir, he was speaking in the beginning, that there is a huge gap between what the society needs, what the economy needs, and what the skills we possess.
Ma'am, voice break up today, ma'am. No clear.
No, madam, it's clear actually. Please check your net connections. Madam, you're clear.
Thank you. So Ratnaprabha ma'am and I worked together for some time in skilling, skill mission, and madam was chairman of Skill Development Corporation. There we could see that what society needs, what the economy industry needs is completely different from what our academic institutions are preparing us to. So there's a huge skill gap. And even when you're identifying the skill, not every skill is equal. Not every skill gives us an equal opportunity or a chance of success. So there are certain skills which are more important or more valued in the economy than other skills. Then how do we identify these skills and how do we inculcate them in ourselves and also in the students? So if I think about that, like, that there are certain basic skills that are required by each and every entrepreneur or each and every working woman. So these are certain things, basic things, which I would like to reiterate for the benefit of the students who are attending here and aspiring entrepreneurs too. There are certain skills which are required by each and every entrepreneur. Those are basically the strategic planning. How do you plan? Well, like, what is your mission? What are you trying to achieve? And what are your strategies for that? When you're looking at the strategies, you're looking at the business opportunities, and also you're looking at the resources you are having. And you should also plan to bring them together, the opportunities, resources, and also your time together, and have a proper business plan. And how do you have a business plan? When you're having this one, like I heard one lecture in Harvard University. They say that when you're having a business, a startup idea, you need to have something which very few people love, not something a lot of people like. When a lot of people like, it may not translate into a viable business for you. You need to have a business. In a small circle, there are very few people who love the business. When you can prepare a service or a product which are loved by few, it can be scalable. You'll extend your business in such a way that your customer base extends on the lines of who love your product, who love your service. So that is what we should aim at. And also when we are looking at the networking, I think the same thing also applies to our social capital too. Even in the network, which is very, very essential for entrepreneurship, don't get into the trap and look for a lot of people you can talk to, a lot of people who you like, a lot of people who like you. Then there are one or two people who really love you for what you are, for what your skills are, for what your passion is. That is what is going to take us forward. So instead of pleasing a lot of people, what we need to do is come up with a very bright product, a very bright service. The product could be very traditional, but the way you are giving it to the society, the value that you are adding to the society should be exceptional. Unless we are exceptional, we can't expect any kind of success. We could be having some kind of survival. We could be having some kind of mediocre, average survival of our business and all that. But if you're looking at success, you need to be exceptional. This is for all the students, for the teachers, and also for officers like me. Unless you're exceptional, you can't expect a great success. And when you're looking at your product or the service, and also identify what exactly that you're planning to make, what is the solution that you're giving to the society. Unless you're addressing one of the pain points, or the pain points faced by anyone, it could be you or somebody else, unless you're giving a solution to a problem, it may not have acceptance in the market. So the pain point could be anything. It's not exactly a pain that you're looking at, even when you're looking at a vanity product. That is also serves a solution to the vanity aspect of many people. So it's not really bad to go for a vanity product, as long as it serves the vanity needs of the people. So that along with efficient utilization of resources and opportunities that you have, these are the basic skills required by any entrepreneurship. Any entrepreneur, these are the basic skills required in that. But when you're looking at women, it's altogether a different ball game. It's going to throw a lot of challenges on you. You'll have to fight the demons day in and day out, but you should have a lot of resilience. You should have that courage to go back and face your challenges, face your failures, face the stigma, face the stereotypes day in and day out, and you still have the capacity to go and fight it. That's where we all become successful. And for this, to access the financial capital is one of the major challenges that I see among the women entrepreneurs. When you look at how each and every person who is a venture capitalist or a financier, how he analyzes a project and how he goes forward is he looks at the whole package. When they're looking at the whole package and when they're assessing you, they look at your social capital. They'll see what is the network you have, how many people you can reach, and what is your social standing, and what are the skills, what are your communication skills. They'll look at your social capital, and they also look at your human capital. What is the human capital? Human capital is the training, the education, the skills, or the knowledge that we have acquired. As long as we keep on building this human capital and social capitals, building a social capital is highly challenging in Indian society, especially for women. But unless you keep on trying that, working on it, and put your time and effort in that, your access to financial capital, it will be limited. And even when these are similar, even when a woman entrepreneur or male entrepreneur, or their projects are assessed and their teams are assessed, usually the qualifying mark will be more for women. Like, women are expected to show more leadership skills and more other skills, technological or anything, to be matched with someone with what we can say average level of skills. In especially men entrepreneurs. So to be perceived as equivalent of a particular man entrepreneur or in any field, maybe you're an officer or a student or anything, any job interviews also, unless you mark yourself higher than the regular men, you're not considered equivalent to them. That is one of the biggest challenges that women have. Even in offices, me and Ratnaprabha ma'am, we have seen, and yesterday ma'am was sharing one beautiful incident, very funny incident in our group, that someone has taken ma'am's interview, and after the interview, they wanted video or footage of ma'am trying to cook. So no matter what even if you're chief secretary of Karnataka, even if you're CEO of a Fortune 500 company, you are expected to have certain domestic skills, certain feminine skills. This is a challenge that we all face. No matter what the field is, this is what we all face, and we need to be prepared for that. We can't wish that it will go away. It's going to be like this. These are the cards we have got. We have to play with the cards we have got. It's not fair when you talk about justice and all that. It's not fair, but yeah, we'll fight an unfair society and show them how it is done. That's what we are made of. unless we have this extreme ownership for our decisions, our own destiny, unless you are truly Atmanirbhar in your personal life, you can't be truly Atmanirbhar in a professional life. Even the people who have a very rewarding professional life, when it comes to one of the areas where women don't participate is the financial decisions. Financial decisions of the family, financial decisions of the business, and financial decisions of even her personal life, like, her taxes, or the kind of car that she should drive, or the kind of insurance that she should take. And somehow we comfortably try to relegate this to somebody else, preferably a male counterpart in the family or the business. Unless we go and hit these stereotypes at the core, unless we have the required skills, technological or financial skills, we will not be able to become truly Atmanirbhar. Even you are the face of your company, even if you are CEO, there is someone who is taking the important decisions for you. It happens at various levels. Sometimes it is very subtle. Sometimes it is very hard-hitting. To be really self-reliant, we need to acquire the skills. We need to put our foot down, and we should be vocal. We are again and again trained in our society, in our families, that a good girl will never speak up. Her voice is never heard. Her face is never, parallel to the ground. It's always at an angle. You bend your head and you don't talk, then you're called a good girl. And if there is a choice between a good girl and a successful girl, we know what is the choice. We need to make a choice of being a successful person, no matter what everyone thinks. The first, when we come to entrepreneurship, or when you're in any profession where you need to show some leadership skills, there's a lot of baggage that comes with that. We need to fight that. We will be called names, and we will be portrayed in many negative ways. But in spite of all that, we need to have the confidence and the will. Above all, the confidence and courage will come later. As and when you keep fighting and you're talking, your courage and your confidence will build on that. But what we need to have is the will to speak, the will to make a difference, and the will to stand tall with our head held high, the pride that this is my life, this is what I have built for myself, and I'm going to help other women also in doing that. Because we have been hearing, there are so many jokes in WhatsApp nowadays, or even during our lives also, social life. There's so many jokes that come around which keep saying that, women are the enemies of the women. That's something which we all hear. I think this was propagated not by women. I can't think of any single woman who tried to harm me or try to show me in a poor light. I can't think of a single person all through my life. Everyone tried to help me, or everyone tried to support me. There might be some black sheep everywhere. There will be some bad apples in every family and every organization, but that is not the norm. Women help each other. Together, we are much more than the parts. 1 + 1 is more than 2 when 2 women come together. Maybe that's the reason why people or the patriarchal society does not want 2 women to come together, because there'll be a bigger force. I don't know what is the reason behind that, but trust me, we are much stronger when we are together. And this is one message that I want to give, especially to the young women, because we were trained to believe that way. We are trained to suspect each other. We are trained to isolate ourselves so that we can be controlled in a better way. socially or economically, or even at personal psychological levels. So together we need to have a greater bond, and believe in the sisterhood of the women, even if it is in entrepreneurs or officers and all that. When we believe in this sisterhood, when we help each other, we'll be truly Atmanirbhar, and we will truly dominate the economy. We will be the ruthless pragmatists. We will be the business leaders. Thank you, everyone, and all the best to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, madam, for those valuable words. Of course, we always say Atmanirbhar, self-reliant, but the real meaning, what is its reality, we have really learned it from you. I hope all our girl students will be very much benefited by your valuable words. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much for giving your precious time to us. It means a lot, and we wish to see you offline also when we come out of all these corona crisis. Thank you, madam. Thank you once again. Yeah, there are numerous examples